I, CA Anshuman Jajodia, on behalf of the Professional Skills Enrichment Committee, ICAI, welcome all the participants in today's webcast on reading between the lines, communication beyond what's said or written. I welcome today's resource person, CA Nakul Arora, and the others present over here. To start with, I would like to introduce our esteemed speaker before the audience. CA Arora isn't just a chartered accountant. He is a leader, a communicator, and a highly sought after educator in the field of finance. His impressive credentials speak volumes. A member of the prestigious Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, CA Arora boasts rigorous training in accounting, auditing, taxation, and financial management, even earning exemptions in strategic financial management, a testament to his exceptional aptitude and dedication. But CA Arora's expertise extends far beyond the theoretical. He is a highly accomplished speaker, having delivered over 600 sessions on technical topics ranging from professional standards and taxation to business analytics. He is equally adept at communicating soft skills, having conducted more than 350 sessions on interpersonal communication and leadership, showcasing his ability to connect with audience on both a technical and personal level. His leadership capabilities are equally impressive. As the founder and managing partner of his own firm of chartered accountants, he has not only built a successful business but also actively contributes to the broader accounting community by leading ICAI conferences and debate groups. This demonstrates his commitment to fostering professional growth and intellectual discourse within his field. CA Arora's experience isn't confined to the boardroom or lecture hall. He has worked with a diverse range of prominent organizations, including Barco, Visit Health, Policy Bazaar, OneCard, Savills, Saxo Bank, Hilton Group, Saxo, Rockwell, Mosaic, and Max Life, showcasing his adaptability and expertise across various sectors. His extensive speaking engagements across India on topics like compliance with technical and professional standards, ethical standards, and quality control and audit documentation further highlight his deep understanding and commitment to excellence. Finally, Sierra's dedication to education is evident in his numerous contributions to online platforms, sharing his knowledge and expertise freely, helping to uplift the accounting profession. He is not just imparting knowledge, he is fostering a growth mindset in his audience. We once again welcome our today's resource person, CA Nakul Arora, and I further hand over the mic to CA Arora for his deliberation.
Thank you very much, CA Anshuman Joshi, one of the finest professionals that I've met across my journey. And I've been knowing him for, I think, more than a decade now. And he has been equally committed to the well being of all the chartered accountants, be it somebody who starts with the profession or somebody who has been here for some time. Well, today's topic is a little beyond what we have already heard in this committee as well, because most of the sessions that we take, be it in the orientation or when we go to the professional webcast, seminars, or even live rooms, we have been focusing on what to say, when to say, how to say. We also tend to focus on, you know, what not to say. We have constant developments in the field of reading as well. Like even today, if you go out and start reading, you get things like laws of power. You get things like psychology of money. You get things to read like how to do things, how to not do things. But what is missing today is the most important skill, which is beyond what is being said and written. And have you ever met people who were extremely good with connecting with everybody, who were good with getting what they want from anyone at any time? They could be from your school, they could be from your office, or maybe any of your clients. Without saying a word, they get their things done. That's called silent messaging. But how do we give silent messages if we don't know how to receive them? For the next 5 minutes, all of you, whosoever is listening, stop listening to my words. Absolutely stop. and focus on important things. The important things that you need to focus on right now is, okay, the word here is standing, but since I am not standing, I would rather say, how am I, let's say it's sitting in this place. Okay, how am I sitting? Am I in the posture? And what is my outfit? What seems to be my expression? Where exactly do I seem to, observe these things? Then, most importantly, when I pause, when I stop speaking, is there any silent message? The moment I'm not speaking, the most important thing which people forget to analyze there is ask the question, why did a person who is entrusted to speak has stopped speaking? I am sitting in a one-way communication right now. Right now, I'm just in a room. You guys are at your home. We are through a screen. It is not possible for me to pause and reflect. But if I am pausing in a room full of people, I must have an agenda. People don't stop speaking for any reason. There is always an agenda. There is always an agenda on when somebody decides to stop speaking. Just think about it. What could be the agenda when people stop speaking? Well, when people stop speaking and they start reflecting, the most important thing is that you have to focus on the immediately previous statement that they have made. Many people have taught that emphasis is done by intonation, pitch, things like that. But a lot of emphasis is done by pausing. Many people choose to just silent up. They just shut up after speaking a point. And that is the most powerful influence. That's the most powerful emphasis you can put on your statement. The moment you think you have made the most important statement, it is important you pause after that. Why? Because that is what gives it the panache and power of that statement. So many times, if a speaker seems to have taken an abrupt pause, it's not a cue for you to start speaking. Please, most people, what they do is the moment A stops speaking, B thinks it's a cue for me to start speaking. So there is two people in communication, A and B. This is, let's say, this is a timeline, all right? At this point, when A stops, B thinks it's my cue and B starts. But the pause for every statement is the point where you need to analyze what has just been said. In this entire period, what you were doing is receiving the messages. But now, how much framing have you done? Similarly, when somebody replies to you, if they're instantly replying to everything you say, the messaging is that they are not listening to you, but they are just fulfilling this conversation and the blanks. Whatever you've said has not held importance as much as you wanted to hold. It has just done its job. It was just there. And you've just been manipulated. Sorry to say, there has been a manipulation around you. But what about those manipulations? What manipulation has happened? When people have stopped, they've not reflected and they straight away reach the point where they start answering you. You have to realize that this person is not listening to the statements I make, and why it is important that you read between the line, because this at this point you have to start reflecting upon your behavior. You have to start reflecting upon your statements and make something more important. So you are getting instant feedback. Reading between the lines is the best instant feedback that you can get. I'll tell you. So today we are sitting in a closed room. There is no cameras on you. There is no chat box that you can use for continuous communication between us. But even when we are taking a certificate course, when we are, we are talking to people via a webcam and people are replying us through a chat box, what we tend to do is we tend to emphasize and ask too many questions. Yes or no questions. Why? Because on chat, you cannot expect people to write big statements. People are not expected to write big statements on the chat, and somehow we think that this will make a difference. Why? Because if you ask big questions, so you are creating two people, two positive people. Like, okay, there is always two people. One who wants to reply, who's active. Second, who's inactive. Inactive people, let's forget about them for a minute because we are not focusing on inactivity. We are talking about people who are active and they want to interact with you. What about those people? Those people sometimes are not able to interact with you only for a simple reason that you, my friends, have not given them the right opportunity or the right platform. So if you are asking them to give big answers, give you subjective, you're asking subjective questions. People hate subjectivity. I'll tell you why. Because people want to say and they want to know if they were right or they were wrong. Even if it's a question. If they want to ask a question, they have you ever seen big speakers? They say, what a nice question, what a smart question. People even want to make sure that when they ask something, when they are doubtful of something, there should be a basis of that doubt. So, this is a way of instant feedback when people choose to pause. If people are pausing right after you say something, trust me, you are important in that conversation. You know your importance. When to pause. The problem is that when I make positive statements like this, people say, how am I standing? When am I pausing? What? People don't say, people don't say that if I'm not standing properly, then what? Then when I pause also includes when I don't pause, right? Just not when I pause. If I'm not pausing means that I'm not giving you the due importance. And then the worst part is people don't want to accept it. But we have to understand, like engagements in assurance, in auditing everything, if it goes too much south, we say one thing that okay, in this case, you choose to retract from this engagement and do a fresh engagement instead. Go somewhere else. Similarly, if excuse me, if in case you are in a room where people are not pausing before they are speaking to you, or they're not pausing after you make a statement, the right answer is that you are in the wrong room. Sometimes, sometimes you cannot develop, you cannot command respect unless you leave that place. I'll tell you why. Because if 10 people are ignoring you, 10 people are just speaking when you stop speaking, that means you are lacking respect. Now, people think if I say that, commanding respect means that you choose to stay out of certain rooms, you say no engagement, and your audit quality will increase. Why? Sir, most important thing is sanitation. Choose which conversations are worth having and what to expect from the conversations. So you can decide your efforts before the answer comes in, right? If somebody is not pausing, if somebody is pausing too much, sometimes people pause and don't reply to you. That means that they're not even valuing what you think or what you're saying. In that room, you have lost value. So there are two. This is a totally different. This is a totally different situation. And now, most importantly, focus on what I choose not to say. All right. Now we have known how the person is sitting, how the person is standing, how the person is pausing. Is he pausing or not pausing? But what is the person choosing not to say? What will doctor say this? I'll talk about chartered accountants. So if I meet a CA and I know about the meetings, what is the most common thing CAs forget and choose not to say? CAs in initial meetings and in conversations choose not to talk about remuneration. It's important. Clients choose not to talk about complication, right? Clients choose not to talk about complications. And at times, when you are, you're in front of an adjudicating authority or appellate authority in department, they choose not to say what they are thinking, and some of the officers choose to pass orders without giving you a hint. What does it show? That they don't hope that you will be able to get the resolution which they want, and they just want to get over with. Sometimes you give a very, very harsh outlook. You give a very, very strong statement that people are scared to say anything they want to say to you. Other places, people who are saying if clients are not giving complications about their matter, that means their focus right now, this conversation is about negotiation, right? This conversation is about negotiation. And if you choose not to talk about remuneration in the conversation of negotiation, I don't think that's the right thing. If you talk about remuneration, but the client has started to talk about complications, again, this will break down. I'll tell you why. Because again, this conversation is about work description and you're making it about negotiations. So always remember, I'm not saying one single conversation cannot have all materials, but in meetings, what do we make them? What do we call the records of a meeting? We call them minutes, right? Why do we call them minutes? Why do we call meeting notes as minute to minute? Because we want to know that what in the entire process is actually meeting, right? So in one meeting, minute to minute, things can change. So for example, the first agenda is over. Maybe initially the person is talking about their complications and you're talking about remuneration. Suddenly the person starts talking about their complications, you start talking about remuneration. So what is happening is you both are in a different zone at the time of conversation. And many times clients will deliberately choose to not talk about your remuneration. Why? Because they don't want to get into negotiation. They want to control the narrative that they will decide what has to be paid about for your services. So in that case, you have to know. First, you need to know what is being done. And there will be other sessions where I can tell you that you have to smartly move the conversation in the direction you want it to go. Right? So this is the agenda for the day, that we will understand that these silent signals, how deeply can they affect the communication that you're having with anyone. All right. So pre-meeting, I told you, you have to decide what a person is choosing not to say, your pauses, the standing. So what is the pre-meeting workup that you need to do? Pre-meeting, you need to learn that verbally, our duty is to explain complex financial information clearly to the clients and stakeholders. So this is a workup I will do about every finance professional. What workup do we need to do about the client? We need to work up that verbally they will try us to tell two things. With clients, with department, there is different. With everybody, there's difference. I'm taking a client because that is the first communication that we want to make. Client or interviewer. If you are into job, if you are a member in industry, it is about a it is about the interviews. So in interviews, or maybe in a client meeting, the client will want to talk about work first of all. So you need to first, you know, have a have estimation, have a presumption of what all things might be on the agenda. You need to know what work things might be on the agenda. And second thing, of course, the reward for that work. And if you go into an interview, there are many things about work and just one salary negotiation. Let's talk about work. Let's talk about a job. When people are giving you a job, they're analyzing you on the factors like stability, competence, and Flexibility. So many times people say you should lie in an interview. You should always lie in an interview. Why do they say you have to lie in the interview? Why do they say that you have to lie in the interview? I'll tell you why. Because no matter how much you guys are trying to grow, if any of you has gone into hiring, or if anybody of you knows how the HR decides the process of hiring, it is not by what you think. It is not like movies that somebody decides that, okay, this looks the most hireable person, I'll hire this person. No, this is not exactly how they're doing it. Practically what they do is they just choose the person they find most eligible as per the questionnaire and the answers they give. So your Q&A has points. Every answer that you give has points. And there is very less that the interviewer decides. There's a process that decides it. So why people ask you to lie is because they rig the process. People who ask you to lie are actually just doing nothing but rigging the HR process. So they know even if somebody knows, and how are people switching jobs after every few months, after first 2 years, they're switching 10 jobs and still they are getting higher packages. Why? Because they have learned to rig the HR process. They know what to say in an interview. And how do they know what to say? Because they understand the communication that is happening beyond words. So beyond whatever an interviewer says in an interview, there's an HR file and dossier that they are following. And if you understand that dossier, there's no way that they can, choose not to hire you or choose not to give you a certain package. They know that your answers are putting you into brackets. They know their answers are deciding that do you come into a hireability or not. So some people try to be too smart and give good answers and still they don't get selected. But some people, they give most simplest answers and they give most simplest explanations and then end up being selected for the most important roles that people like us cannot even imagine. Why? Because that is the reality that they know the process beyond what is being spoken and what is written in the the JD, sorry. So this is about verbal communication. Now let's talk about non-verbal communication. Even here, there is things which are between the lines. Non-verbal communication maybe. There is things that is beyond just a basic, how people choose to say, oh, non-verbal communication might mean that we are just, going to see how the person is dressed, how they stand, how they move. No, there is a lot a person is not doing that. Today's session is totally about what people are choosing not to do, not about what they're doing. It's about what they're choosing not to do. Let's understand this case. Non-verbal communication में क्या क्या चीज़ है? What all things do we have in non-verbal? One is body language, one is tone, one is professional appearance, of course, right? But what about body language silences? What about body language silences? Where is the between the lines in body language? We all know the basics. Closed, open, very open. Shah Rukh Khan. No. Understand. Body language encompasses a big array of social behavior, big, beyond what you can imagine. Right? So, one of the social conducts about body language is that your shoulders should not be down, right? But what if my shoulders are down because of a medical condition? Second, how uptight you are. Now, we don't want you to be military and army and you just be like totally attention at all times. No, but we do need you to be attentive. There is a value of attention in every division of the world. Why army behaves that way? There is a very big reason, sir. They have to be attentive to their job. Their job requires them to be attentive. That is body language messaging that we are prepared for what may come to us. But what are the social silences of the body language? I'll tell you. Look, very commonly, this has been observed by very, very very serious social experts that many times, people are choosing to be closed, whereas they are very open about everything. The silence is that before you start judging the other party on body language, you should know that do they understand body language like you do? Or maybe this is just the way that this is their culture is designed. Different people have different cultures. Many places in Europe, when people go inside cafes or when they go to eat food, it is common to leave your kids on the curb outside for fresh air. So you guys go inside, have food, have drinks, and come outside, and choose that your kids are just outside on the uh, what do you can call it, pavement or place where people are walking, and suddenly when they come out after food, they can just pick up their kids and go out. But what about places like India, places like America? It's very unsafe. You don't leave kids outside. But the problem is you have to silently, by seeing what they are not saying by their body language, sometimes their actions, their behavior. Like some of the Western and some cultures, people are very, very close. They go uptight with you. They're not flirting with you, and still it looks like very, very forward. But if somebody is coming from a very, their background doesn't say of open behavior or being very physical, and a lot of contact is not there in their background, and they suddenly choose to, at least you can understand one of the two things. One, the obvious one which people choose to have, that they are very, very they're very interested in they're very open. They want to get they have cheesy agendas. But the second thing you can learn about people by having a body language different than their background, and that is why you need to pre-meeting understand how this person is, what kind of a person this is, that you can understand if they behave in a way their background doesn't suggest. Either there is something about the background that you have missed. Mostly, always try to assume positive intent. Try to assume the mistake was not there in the other party. Other parties are not deceptive. But even if you want to assume that there is some deception, assume that they aspire. Don't assume that they are manipulated. Don't assume that they have negative intentions. Assume that there is something positive. They aspire to live in a certain way. They aspire to, gain the method. They aspire to gain the advantage over at certain other aspects. So maybe they want to live like they are not born. They love to, join into the leagues that they don't belong right now. So how can you use this? Now the important thing. Why I say that these sessions are more important and more fruitful when we are sitting in front of each other. Sir, how will you use it? People do tell you how communication works, but how to use it? I know this person is forward. I know this person is aspiring to be a Parisian when he's just another person from maybe South Delhi. How do I, change the how can I use this at my advantage if I know that my counterparty is aspiring to become somebody they are not? Sir, very easily. I can make sure that I adjust my behavior to make them feel that being connected with me or being, having the work, giving us business will will in turn make them achieve things that they will not achieve otherwise. That I will give them the kind of lifestyle or the service style or maybe the atmosphere they need. They need a European atmosphere, I'll give them. They need an American atmosphere, I'm ready to give them because I think like them. I am totally on board. Yeah, I also love cheeseburgers. I also love, chilling out with. If somebody loves the American lifestyle, oh, why not? Why should we just discuss business? What about after business? We, in our suits and ties, we go back and hit a few beers in the bar. Why not? This is the way I'm giving silent messaging. That I can give you they aspire a kind of a lifestyle. They aspire a kind of a flow in their life, and whatever assists this flow is good for them. All right. Let's understand tone. So you know this person well if you have already done your homework. Homework is important. Whenever you used to go to the class in school, remember teachers used to say that do your homework properly. Now, homework was in school. What is homework? You do something in the class, revising it or doing questions or answers or exercises based on what you've done today used to be called homework. Understand, in school, the education goes like a line or like a stream of water. So you touch one part, which leads you to the other part. right? So somehow the teachers do not want you to do the homework because they want you to learn what you have done today. That is one reason. The second reason is to understand what will be done tomorrow or the day after. You need to be you need to have covered up what was done yesterday. Getting my point? So covering up a distance. So if from Ghaziabad, I have to go to Haridwar. There is a method. I go to Meerut, Muzaffarnagar, Roorkee, and then I get to Haridwar. So if I have to get to Muzaffarnagar, I need to get to Meerut first. Now don't tell me that there is another highway. I know that, but just understand this is how life works. This is how homework works. You need to be prepared. Now, how will you do homeworks about tone? Talking to people you know, talking to other people they might have interactions with. This will help you in getting the hang of what their natural tone is. Now, there is always the best homework is if you know the person. If you know the person from some time, you see a certain change in the tone. You know, I'm not asking you to start being a mind reader, go out in public, show off that I can understand what's going behind you. No, that's not cool. You know what is going on beyond what the person is telling you, and you can use it to your advantage. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. So what happened is, years and years ago, uh, there was a king who had a big kingdom. And this is a true story. I think it is about somewhere in China. I'm not sure about exact parameters of the story, but I know this was a very important story. I learned it in my school. So, what happened is, I would need a blank sheet for it, I suppose. Just give me 1 second. I'll get a blank sheet ready for you. Just a moment. Right? So, what happened is, so this was a king one, and he had a good fortress. So, this was a fortress, right? They had a fortress. And there was a deceiver, very famous deceiver. It was also another king who was trying to get into the, obviously, they used to, cover up the, they used to defeat other kings to get their kingdom up. Now, at that time, I think somewhere in China, it was expected that whosoever defeats the other king will have the chance of becoming the king, or, they want to loot their properties, or they want to have, they want to have the authority over the palaces and something. So what happened is the deceiver chose to set up a camp near or at the outskirts of this king's fortress. Now this king was given a message was sent to this king that the Mr. D, the deceiver, is here to meet the king, and he would want the king to come and meet them at camp. Now, the easiest thought this king had is when I go out and meet the deceiver at his camp, at that time he'll create a kind of a formation, and the plan is to kill. All right, right. So, and this is exactly the kind of a screen which this deceiver has created. This is a smoke screen. This is what is apparent. This king knows that okay, he's showing me this, and I have the information about this, and this is what this person is doing. So this is the front. So what happens is this king chooses to go. He opens the gates and he goes here with a huge army with him. A huge army is taken alongside him, and he meets him and he shows that he's powerful, and you cannot kill him like this. And unlike what was expected, maybe he wanted to kill him, but the deceiver met him properly. They had some drinks, they celebrated, they danced, and in the night they rested. Now, while these were resting, many people will think that they will kill them. No. While this king was resting, of course, he had guards here. But this deceiver chose a big platoon of their army, attacked the kingdom in the night when there was no king, and a lot of army was in the camp, and it took charge of the gate. the main gate of this kingdom, the deceiver army had taken charge of it. And the king somehow, until he returned, knew that it was impossible, so he chose to flee. This is the power of deception. Now, what do you need to understand of how reading between the lines will help you in this deception? I'll tell you, sir, this will help you because this deception is possible because of the information. People prepare for what they can see, right? People will always prepare for what they can see and what they know you know. If I know that, for example, you know about me that I'm a chartered accountant, you know that I'm very, I'm a hobbyist. I eat a lot. I'm a foodie. I like to travel. So I know that you know these things about me, and you can use them against me. So my mind is somewhere prepared for it. But there is information. If you get that about me, which I'm not telling you on the face of it, apparently, my mind is not even preparing defenses for it. So if you can judge from the tone that something is wrong with him and without telling them it is wrong, because if you want to play smart, you just tell them, oh, I know this is going on with you. You fought with your wife, right? That's why you're angry in the morning. You're doing a foolish thing. You know that he has had a bad morning. Why to start with work? Just say, how about we start with a cup of tea? How about we go for a coffee? I just want to go for a walk. Just go for a walk, talk about things, talk about life, and start relating to them. Just tell them if you have realized that something is going wrong without them knowing that you know something, give them an escape out of it. Give them a chance to get at somewhere they would not be without you. Become that important person without even them knowing that you know what's wrong with them. If you by the tone can understand that the last few meetings of this person has not gone well, I'll tell you how this works in an interview very well. So you go to an interview. If you research about your interviewer a little, and every interview is important, everything is important, especially at executive level, you know whom you are meeting. How about knowing them? How about knowing their tone? How about having a clarity how they speak? I'll tell you how it helps. You can know with their tone, if their tone sounds a little disappointed, you know there are three interviews before you. No matter how the interviewees have decided to come out and talk to you, the interviewer's tone will tell you that has he got his selection or has he not even got anybody. I'll tell you why. Because if I know the previous three interviews were not impressive, I'll not try too hard. Because trying too hard can make me in trouble. I'll be natural. I'll try to, try to give him the obvious reasons, and obviously because I've done my homework, I've seen people, I've observed people, I read between the lines, I would know that Mr. A, B, and C, who have given the interview before me, they have this behavior. I just need to prove that whatever they might be missing from them, they'll get from me. The tone of your interviewer, the tone of your client will tell you that are they here only to talk to you or they're here to give this business to you. The tone of your interviewer will tell you, and now let's understand, it does not work one way. These skills are so powerful, they work in different ways. So if you are going for an interview, taking an interview, so I'm going for hiring. And hirers are somehow smart at this because they know these skills, but still, they have learned this, they have these skills in them as a part of, as a part of a very long, elaborate process. How about I'll tell you that they have these skills just as a small portion, just as a small portion. This is a small portion of their huge quiver of arrows, and they fire whatever they need whenever they need without even realizing that they're firing these arrows. But knowing your weapons is as good as knowing what your opponent doesn't know. So the tone of your interviewer can help you a lot, but the tone of an interviewee can tell you better that if they have other offers on the table or not. And in the interviews, you do not get paid for what you can do. You get paid for the leverages. How much can you get otherwise? If you have other offers, you have to pay them more to get them on your board. If they don't have other offers, what's the best way to know them? Know their tone in advance. Today, you'll find people on Instagram, other places where they make videos. So you know their tone, you can know their body language, how they normally are, and how they are behaving in an interview. This will give you the secrets about them that you will not get otherwise. More important than that, if you know these telltales about other people, you know how to not give them about yourself. One of the people I have recently been very inspired by in terms of they don't have tells. He does not have any tells. Uh, Even the Prime Minister of India, you can watch his interviews, you can watch his expressions, you find something is wrong or right with him. I saw an entire podcast of the India's National Security Advisor. I was not even able to get a single hint of what this person might be thinking. He does not have a tell. But not having a tell tells me that he understands tells better than anybody else. You can only prepare and hide things if you're good at catching things. So good thieves are good investigators, and good investigators can plan a robbery better than anybody else. That's one thing. So having tells not just equips you to catch other people, equips you. So this reading between the lines, you're not. So this is an important part of the session. At the mid of the session, I want you to understand and learn that today I'm not just here to teach you that how do you learn other people, but how do you control what the other person reads about you between the lines. We are not just here to learn that how we read between the lines, but also how we control what others are reading between the lines around us. We can control that because that is controlling the narrative, and narrative control is very important in today's era because the era is of information. You will not win people over by facts because facts can be fabricated, made again, things can go your favor. Extra courses, extra degrees, extra achievements are so easy to catch. So many opportunities are there that everybody who competes has a lot of them. So what is becoming more important is the agenda and the narrative. So control that narrative. You first need to understand the pre-meeting workup, and you need to understand because you know how you read between the lines. You start controlling that how those things are not given away by you. Last is professional appearance. This I'll tell you first by for you, not for others. Catching others is different here. Always have a standard appearance. Have a standard appearance to attend most of the places. I love people who wear a simple shirt to come to a wedding, unless the wedding is of their son. They wear a simple shirt, blue jeans, and they'll attend weddings, work, everything in that. That is their way of dressing every day. In this dressing, it is hard to catch this person trying to do something different. Or somebody who chooses to wear anything. Somebody like Ranveer Singh wears anything anytime. You cannot catch his mood and his non-verbal cues with his dress up. But if you dress up odd, some days you dress up sharp, some days you dress up semi-sharp, mostly you dress up sharp, but some days you choose not to. Sir, I don't ask you to make a uniform, but have a uniformity in the way you dress on every day. And it will do wonders for you. People always talk about Elon Musk dressing in a certain way mostly, or maybe something Mark Zuckerberg wears the same T-shirt and jeans to work with, same color and same brand he uses every day. It is not just it is not as simple as just because he wants to stop wasting time in the morning in choosing what to wear. Sir, nobody is wasting time in choosing what to wear. Most of us are not. Forgetting about a few people who dress up like they're going on a red carpet roll, I don't think most of us are wasting any time in dressing up in the morning. But what most of us are doing and what most of us are missing, that is a little important. That when in the morning we go out to work, we wear different clothes and it gives different messages about us. Know these messages about your employees, know these messages about your interviewees, about your clients, how they dress up, how they come, shows how serious they are about this, shows how seriously they are taking you, shows how important they get. Many clients come in your office in tracksuits and shorts. Always remember, these are the clients who don't take me seriously. And if in the next few meetings you start seeing them coming to your office in a good attire, in a professional attire, that in their opinion about your business. And if people come to you dressed better than they dress at other places, trust me, believe you me, you have actually created an aura of your business. About your staff, their regular wears. I mean, people. So what happened is If somebody cheats on their wife, and of course, in guilt, they tell them. They tell them verbally. They don't need tells to tell them. You can know when they actually told them. So approximately, if you know them well, you know how many shirts they have. And in a couple of days, of 5 days or 6 days, once one or two cycles of that shirt has gone out, they start wearing shirts which are not properly ironed, which are not properly managed, which clothes don't match sometimes. Suddenly their combination seems weird. That means they chose to tell somebody 5 or 6 days ago. Because they have three pairs, they wear it every day. After 6 days, two cycles they manage, third cycle, most of them are not able to manage if they do not control. But what do I need? I need a pre-meeting, I need a pre-meeting homework to do that, pre-meeting homework to get there. So these things can only be covered by you, my dear friends, if you do the homework well. All right. Now let's talk about the application of it. We've talked about the application alongside a lot, but I want to tell you what all this will help you with. You can build credibility with this because you know how tells are controlled. And if you start controlling them about you, your credibility and trust can rise through effective communication. Because you know other people, your homework can help you not just to catch their tells, but to control the narrative. And if you are able to control the narrative, I'm promising you, it will do wonders to your credibility and, of course, the trust that you build about yourself. That, my friends, is the point. All right, moving on. The big lie about communication. What you say, what you write, how fluent your language is. Words actually are the least reliable part of the communication. Least reliable. Because you can control them. Many people say, think before you speak. They forget, they seldom remember that most of them do. Most people think before they speak. Most people are in control of what comes out of their mouth. But very less people, like I told you, the National Security Advisor, I'm a big fan of his. Very less people, you can count them on the tips of our fingers who can control what they say without speaking and writing. They are reliable. I'm telling you, the President of America, the Prime Minister of England, they are not able to control their tells. Their expressions change. The Prime Minister of India, most of the times, he's in control of his expressions and non-verbal tells, but sometimes he's not. I'll give you a very keen example. Uh, there are two cricket matches, both 50 over. One Women's World Cup, which happened recently, and one Men's World Cup, which happened in 2023. Just watch when Travis Head was hitting, and just watch when Laura was hitting. Watch the body language, and that body language will tell you what to expect from this game. Because cricket is not trying to tell this to other parties. Other party already knows how much in control of the game they are. At least they can tell you, as if you want to be a good if you want to be a good person who can bet well. I'm not saying bet well, but you want to know what to expect from the cricket match. Just see the most experienced player, and their behavior tells you a lot about what is going to happen because they analyze the game well, and their expression tells you where this game is going. And let me tell you, you have to do the homework. Which player has a tell? Many players also control their expression so well that you cannot have a tell from them very easily. For example, most important, MS Dhoni did not have a tell. His behavior was always neutral. You are never able to understand what he has analyzed about the game. Many people don't understand him because I'll tell you, if you don't have a tell, no, people stop relying on you. You seem unreliable. People love him because he had won so much for the country. But do people actually trust people who have trust issues? They found him very deceptive. Like what he does, why he does so. He does something because he does not have a tell, and he makes you feel anxious about it. If you why does not he have emotion? He has emotions, but he has a control over how much he wants to, you know, how much he wants to give out. And if you start controlling your tells, the good thing is if you start controlling what you give out, you start controlling what you get in. The more you get in, the less you give out. This is a very strange part of non-verbal communication. In verbal communication, the more you speak, the less you listen. The same is about non-verbal communication, strangely. The more you start observing, the more you start, you know, sucking out the information, the less information you end up giving out. Because your expressions are regularly the same. Because you're so much into analysis that when you're analyzing, you do not need to give any expressions. You don't have expressions actually, because you're just collecting information. I know what is going on in your mind right now. See, I'm also analyzing. Many of you might be thinking, sir, you are actually telling us to live our life like a bloody, in the basement of a drenched hole where you are expecting us to, live a different way, don't give tells, this, that, sir, so many heavy words. What exactly do you want us to do? Just tell us and we'll do it. Sir, I don't want you to do anything. I don't want you to do anything right now. I just want you to understand that we, as a professional collaboration, as a professional friends, both of us, you and me, on this call, on this call, we can just do one thing. That are we able to accept that this is the case? Are we able to accept that this communication depends on things which are way more than what you have learned in the past? And trust me, once you start controlling what you have learned in the past, you start controlling what you are about to make of your future. Right? Moment. What happened is that many of these slides are prepared for big screens, and unfortunately, I have to share this with you on a very, very small because many of you are watching the session on the phone, and I know on phone these are very hard to visualize. So I'm trying to keep it a good, but yeah, I will definitely love to share this across with you. Very soon you'll have this. See how much. So moving on. All right. We've already covered this part. Let's understand how to do a reality check. Now this is where the important part start because this is how where I start teaching you how to check yourself, right? So if senior, if you want to say client, if you're in a job, just say a senior, then say let's see. Let's see is the most common statement which is used so many times in a day and so many different ways. In Hindi, there's a word called acha. Acha can be said in 50 different ways. So if you want to claim somebody is being very cheesy, acha, and you also acha, acha, that means the way you say it, it changes the meaning of it. But let's say the word is let's see. It's two neutral word, but does it tell me yes, no, or a delay? Disinterest, power. It depends on so many things: tone, timing, facial expression, past behavior, hierarchy. Not the words. Words on the surface, meaning is underneath. So this is important. Let me give you the most important part. Many people do the rest. People have started learning the rest. What's the past behavior? This happens very commonly. You joke about something to somebody, and you've seen many people are so funny that they say personal comments, they pass personal comments, and yet choose to be neutral and unaffected by the way things work around them. So, and of course, when people are funny, what they control is more than just demeanor, they control the narrative. First thing first, tone, many people are able to catch. Timing, I will say, for tone, I think 90% people hear the tone. 90% above people know what the tone is saying. I don't think many people are having a problem with the tone. Timing, I would say maybe 70% people. I think still there are many people who don't get the timing of the right things, but still professionals may, and I think most of the professionals know what time things have come in. Expression, again, 60-70% people understand expressions. Hierarchy, youngsters today are struggling. So in youngsters, the 20 to 25 years old age, they don't understand 50% of them don't respect, they don't understand the hierarchy and how much something coming from which side is important. So of course, this, unfortunately, my friends, only 1% people use. I'll tell you which those people are. These are the people you make fun of. These are the people you end up making fun of. Have you heard people saying in the CA firms when you're doing articleship, there are articles, there are staff members who say, I know how sir behaves. I know I know how he's gonna come around. He will come around, leave him. No, no, I don't think this time he's coming around. Because they are also analyzing how they have been behaving in past. Sir, past behavior is the most underrated informant of what is about to happen in the conversation next. And how can you do this reality check for yourself? I want you to please focus on this, that do these reality checks. Do the reality check on yourself. That am I able to catch things? At least have a diary of your of your last mistakes. How did your day go today? Should be an informant of how you will control, how well you will manage tomorrow. At least have that kind of look. Assessment is the best way to know if you have learned something. I'm not saying to score well in that assessment. So many people think assessments, I mean examination. Sir, many people say exam should not be there, scoring should not be there. I still say there should be a system of assessment. I don't know how much important it is, how much you score in that assessment, but there should be self-assessment about everything you have learned. So if I've done a chapter in CA finals, it was important that I do a few questions without looking at the solution. Am I able to do it? And if I want to do the questions which I've never done before, why? Am I actually doing the solution, or I'm ratifying I'm just, I'm cramming up the solutions? It used to be important. Remember, similarly, for these things, self-assessment is important. So do reality check from next time. Next time, try and see if I'm able to catch the tone. Sir, to learn something new, you have to break it down. Don't try to learn things by the face of it. People try to learn things, okay, this is how it looks, this is what it means. No, break down the things. Don't think that, am I good at reading between the lines? No, first think, how many times after like sarcasm, many people keep a score. And this is very important because sarcasm became popular after 90s. Yes, this is a modern day, this is my generation, the millennials, we popularized sarcasm because we popularized a concept where being sarcastic started becoming not just acceptable, but it became cool. With our generation, sarcasm became very cool. Before my generation, sarcasm used to be a bad thing. And it is still a bad thing. You should not be sarcastic to people. But can we control other people? No. So other people will be sarcastic to you. So sarcasm, many people started covering that. Was it sarcasm or was it true? They started covering up. Do they understand sarcasm? And it is more difficult to understand sarcasm of other languages. I'll tell you why. People think with the languages only the words change. The tone is easier to get with. No, every language has a different tone. Every language has a different tone to it, has a different timing of it, has a different facial expression of it. I'll tell you the difference of the tone. In English, that tone becomes cheesy. But in Urdu, that tone becomes intimidating. many places you will see, try and say the threats in Urdu and first listen to them in Urdu and just translate that tone. If you take that tone into English, it will become a cheesy line. Many things happen like this. I ran through a few words. Maybe you come up with other things like this. So same words, sorry, same message, same tone. If you take it to the different language and the expressions, of course. So the expressions, language, and tone change with language, with ethnicity, with their growing up, or I should say, just the past. The past is more important than how many of us have been told. All of us have been told, don't hang to the past. I'm not saying hang to the past, but I'm saying learn from the past. At least not just yours. So, words are the surface of communication. The meaning of what is being said is living underneath. Don't miss the meaning. Big mistake. It can be catastrophic if you miss out on what the words mean, what every conversation means. And do reality checks on yourself. Do I get the tone most of the times? Yes, no, maybe. Timing. Do I get the timing of the conversation? I remember my mother telling me when I was young, is it the right time to talk about this? Is it the time to talk about this? Of course, I'm translating exactly from Hindi, so my tone might be wrong while I'm telling you, but yeah, facial expressions. Did I get silent messaging or not? Is what will actually decide, you know? Hierarchy. I don't think you can learn this because hierarchy, many of you will, making mistakes about hierarchy actually are being ignored these days. Because I told you, even interviews have become a paper checklist. So once you are good on the checklist, even the person having the hierarchy above you is is bound to not make the right decision. Because they're bound with the paper. There's a score sheet. There's a way every answer is being evaluated. If you get into through that evaluation, hierarchy is not giving you so much trouble. But yes, out of 1,000, even if once the hierarchy will be able to benefit, I want to make sure that that benefit is mine. Because of course, these mechanical things will run out someday. What will stay is human judgment. People are so obsessed with artificial intelligence that original intelligence is losing its viscosity with time. Any which ways. So, like we have been discussing, the communication is not a skill but a signal system. It is not something, and I'll tell you, communication may we use things like NATO phonetics. NATO decided at the time of war. We use words like hello. We use words like we have a way of talking on the phone. Again, what was the first internet of the world? ARPANET, designed for the army. So communication initially, of course, because we had to hunt, we had to fight wars. Just give me a moment. Just one moment. Any which way, sorry about that. All right. Let's try and use props for a moment, right? So assume this is a tower. Assume this is also a tower. These are two different, this is away from the sea. This is a sea length between it. So there is a water. There is sea between them, okay? So think of this communication like a Wi-Fi. There is no visible things. There is nothing you can see. There's nothing you can hear. But this is controlling whatever is happening between these waters, the communication. You cannot see it. You cannot hear the signal, but everything is controlling it. And there is always something called a visible signal. So from those two towers, there must be tower light. So it flaps this way, then it's safe. It flaps that way, this is unsafe. If it starts flashing, it is unsafe. These two people have a code of it, no? Everything means something different. What is the feeling? What is the intention? What is the fear? What are you trying to hide is the real transmission. I don't know how many of you have, but with the collection of 1,000 crores, I think, and with of course GCC ban, I think India has seen the movie very well, the spy movie which recently released. And remember that there was a certain way the person was selling his soda. That was silent messaging. He was just selling soda, but what was he actually doing? Was he selling soda? No, his messaging was a very, very different message to ensure that the uh, right person gets the message. For one or two agents, this message was designed, and he was speaking it all day and night, right? Whatever you feel, intend, fear, or hide is the real transmission. And reality, how about real life? How about real life? You know, people, I'll talk about professionals like doctors, they go to free health checkups. The real thing which they're doing is promoting their own practice, right? But they try to control the narrative by being helpful to people, public service, and promotions are being internet. Same goes for accountants. We go for workshops, we run workshops for people, but how can we control that our intention of promoting ourselves? We are going to different houses for, talking about different topics to get work, but how do we control the intention? Have you seen many speakers in ICAI, non-ICAI, wherever you've heard them, they control this narrative very well. One of the best people who control narratives. They used to control it very well until recently, until information exposed them. Just give me one. Right? What about the listener? So we've seen that if I am a speaker, if I speaker not just on the stage, you and I am talking. If I am the speaker, I want to, transmit what I feel, intend, fear, or hide. And it is not always because it is not important because it has to be done on a public level, even on a personal level, even on a one-to-one communication level, it is important for the speaker. But we do want to know about the listener because you are right. Most communications, you will not be the speaker, but you will be the listener. You'll be the listener, and I understand that. But for listeners, both consciously and subconsciously, they have to decode. Listener has a harder job while communication goes on. Speaker has an easier job. They know a message, they know they have to deliver it, and they deliver it. But as a listener, what is your job? Your job is way more complex than people understand. When I'm listening, I have to cover up not just what they say. Many good listeners have a pen and paper all the time in front of them. So you're speaking and they're writing. They're not writing the entire message. We tell you, believe you me, they don't write the entire message. They just keep the codes. They just keep the coding. And because they keep the code, one email can offend, one silence threatens, one smile can disarm the opponent, one pause intimidate, without a single harsh word spoken. I remember that similar, like, what about the silent threats? I'll be very frank. So what happens is that when you were young, no, so many times you learn an insult from somebody and you throw it at your cousin, right? It was very common. You learn an insult, you throw it at your cousin, and you expect this to be as big as it was when you heard it in your classroom. But suddenly you realize that when you were insulted in the same tone, it worked, but the other person just said, very good, very well. It says, I'm trying to convert this into English. I'm so sorry. My entire childhood has been in Hindi language, so I'm not able to give you the right word for it. Like in English, you say, oh, very funny. Like you say very funny, or you say like a cat comes in and says meow, or maybe somebody just says, "Oh, really?" and suddenly the narrative is lost. So you have to understand, you don't have, as a listener, just one email can be offensive, or it the same email, if the right tone is used, if you understand the other person intent, this email can also be threatening. This can also get you a same company, two people, both working similarly. Why do people get different promotions? Why do people get different salaries? Why there is a different control with two different people? I told you, leverage. Not just having the leverage, using the leverage at the right time is also important. Maybe both have the similar competing offers. One is being held by the company, the other is not. I don't say other factors are not there. There are other factors. My job is to teach you this one factor. Do I deny the existence of other factors? No, I don't. But do I say that this factor is not important? No, this factor is important because I'll tell you, I told you we have to control the narrative. But what we can do is the skills have to be learned one by one. Do you ever use 2 plus 2 in today's world? No. But when you learn 2 plus 2, it had to be learned with focus. Similarly, signal system is being learned with focus by you today, but tomorrow when you use it, it will be used like a small conjunction into the entire life. I know it seems like that, but it's true. That's true for every skill. Every part of your life was learned like this. And ultimately, ultimately, every part of your life works like this. Are we clear? So glad we are. Right. Let's understand that I told you this skill will decide careers in conjunction with other skills and factors out of your control. And I agree, so many factors are out of our control that it seldom feels that we are in control of our career. But the truth is, we cannot do anything about things which are not in our control. I agree. What to do? Stop doing anything? Is this the choice that you're giving me? That I don't do anything. I have to do something about the factors that are in my control because, of course, the things out of my control are already decided. What about the things that are in my control? I need to be in control of them. I need to do best out of them. Why? Because the rest of the factors remain constant. No, whatever I can do about and focusing on these skills, what the biggest benefit I have felt was not that I made a good lot about myself, but because I'm doing too much about the things I can control, I seldom feel sad about not being able to control something. So things out of my control need to be ignored. Yes. But what do I do with the 24 hours? I need to do something in the 24 hours. No, I work on the things I can control. Instead of working on the things I are beyond my control, I work on things that are within my control. So, so sorry. I have written this out because I want you to know. I know this is scripted, but I always feel uncomfortable while saying it. And it seems so judgmental of me. I'm so sorry. But most people do not fail because they lack intelligence. And this is actually true. People are very intelligent. If you're a chartered accountant, you are intelligent. Trust me. It is not easy to crack that exam. So what happened is recently one client was there in my office, and we were talking about so what happened. They have a surgical center, they have a hospital, and they were sitting. And I was asking them questions about some insurance claims that this is not how I think it should be in the revenue or not being in the revenue. So we were in deep discussions of this topic, and suddenly I said that if I knew this much, I would have been a doctor. No, I'm not that educated that you think. So I was saying it in Hindi because obviously we were making some jokes. And then the dean of medicine of that hospital said that, Nakul, what I feel that most of the people, whenever they make a statement for being funny, they say that they're in a crappy job or they don't have a good job. They all feel that the other job is well better than them. No, I said I don't feel like that. But yes, when I see you guys with the amount of information that you hold in your head, the way you deal with emergencies, I feel that there is some sort of intelligence. Then he told me that how he feels about finance, how he feels about these numbers. Just because you do it well, don't think it is easy. So, my friends, my chartered accountants, my fellows, my associates, all of you, I'm telling you that you guys are way more intelligent than you know, because it is not easy to become a chartered accountant. The problem is you are already talking to chartered accountants, so there will be a comparison. But yes, you guys are intelligent, but you're not. People who are failing or falling are not because of lack of intelligence, because you misread the signals. Because you misread the signals. You misread some signals and things are going south now. Remember, I don't know if somebody has had this experience or not. I have. I failed in one of my examinations in chartered accountancy. I scored a 39, I suppose, 39, 38. I scored in that exam. And I was able to make the aggregate, by the way, in that year. So it was more harsh because I made the aggregate. I had all the scores with me. I had two exemptions in my hand. But just because one place I had 39, so I had to give three exams again. So what happened in that exam is the worst part was I remembered that there was a question, because of course I'm not that smart kid who did not look at the solutions. I was that dumb kid who used to open the solutions after the exams and see what I did. And I realized that I read something. I should have, subtracted a figure. I chose not to because I remembered in the morning I was doing the revision test paper and some question was missed by me intentionally. And that was the biggest catastrophic mistake I could have made. It's hard to understand. What happened is very, very funny because it was a question. So there was a figure, I think it was for repair and maintenance expenses were reduced to, and I reduced it by to and by. I don't know if you remember. You're all chartered accountants, go far back and remember if it was reduced by, then we had to minus it. If it was reduced to, then we had to take that figure. So I did the opposite. And that one mistake cost me at least 1 mark would at least have costed, because one mistake, answer wrong, 1 or 2 marks it would have costed. Just that one mistake, if that misreading was not done, I might have been the chartered accountant who was made in the first attempt. But then I might not have been to practice. I might have gone into a job. I might not be sitting in front of you. So all said and done, failing or succeeding. But that failure was because I misread one small question. So was I less intelligent? My question to you is, was I less intelligent at that time than I am today? Than I was in the next attempt? Was I less prepared? One word. Was I less prepared? And that, my friends. So listen, now you see the pausing which I was talking about. I'm asking you, was I less prepared? So I want you to think, reflect back, and remember the experience and the incident from your life where this happened with you. That's exactly what I'm looking for. That's where we're trying to get to. Right? Misreading signals can be catastrophic, and reading the right signals and using them to your advantage. This is two skills. Today we are learning reading the signals. Also, with it, I'm trying to convey how to use those signals to your advantage. Right? So, how is it deciding careers? People is they. Polite silence is approval. Loud confidence is competence. Friendliness is loyalty. People take words at face value and they pay for it. This is negative things. And they end up paying for it. So if when I asked that is there any promotion in pipeline for me, and somebody politely silent up and they say, I'm looking at it, I'm trying for it. Of course, and if okay, let me just ask you a situation. Scenario, please do it for yourself. If you're sitting somewhere and having a pen and paper, please do it. If your CEO or CFO, when they meet you for your promotion or your appraisal, and they say that they start talking about things you were not able to do in the year, is it better to understand that this is a way of conveying that they don't have a good appraisal for you in the pipeline. Right? If somebody was loud, confident, you thought that he is competent, you hired them, you took them at face value, and you ended up regretting. Ultimately, you were the one at loss. If just because somebody was friendly, you thought that person is loyal, bad negotiations, partnerships will be broken. You took words at face value of the department. There were things they were trying to convey. Client's trust will be lost. If you thought that if somebody politely did not say anything to you and you ended up doing something any which ways without even considering that the other person does not want to go ahead with it, you'll miss promotions. And trust me, this is affecting not just your job. This is not just affecting your job, sir. This is affecting your entire career. I'm talking about both of us. Job going CAs, practicing CAs, all of you, sir, all of us. We all have this problem. We all are going through this. Please don't think this is only for people in job. Practicing people, we give a job interview every few hours. Many people say, I don't want to do a job because I can't have a boss over me. Sir, having 10 bosses over you, think about it. This is what practice is all about. Having 10 different people you are working for, is it convenient? It looks convenient from outside, sir. In reality, it is one of the most inconvenient ways to, you know, to manage your career, to manage your life. But what satisfaction it brings, some other day we'll talk about it. Maybe you can take the certificate courses, you'll realize that there is other reasons why people into practicing. Right? So, sir, everybody needs to read the right signals, need to be deliberate about their communication. Not something is going away without you actually trying to give this message. Don't ever be that weak, right? Don't be so weak. Messages are being conveyed, and you are thinking that I'm not giving the message. Why is this message going from me? This is a big problem. We need to work on this problem, sir. Right? If you don't read between the lines, you will react and never control. Something will happen, you will react, you'll never be in control of the situation. If you only go on words, if you only listen to what I'm saying, if from the entire last 1.5 hours, you've just been listening to what I'm saying, you've wasted your 1.5 hours of your life. Go back and ask the world to give it back to you. Nobody can give it back to you. But if you were observing how I was trying to convey things by doing the same things I'm saying, I'm doing one-way communication, sir. One-way communication. Just me in front of a blank screen, and I'm saying, and I'm still trying to convey how do I control, how am I trying to, using tone, using the expression, the posture, the body language, everything. But if you're fighting a lot, if you're reacting a lot, I'll ask you a question. How many times? Because I speak with the ethics board, I help people with peer reviews and everything, and disciplinary matters at times. So what happens is many times I am talking to people, talking to chartered accountants, and I'm trying to explain them the ethical code. I'm trying to explain them the laws and rules laid down for chartered accountants. I end up sometimes people start fighting with me that how can ICA say that? How can ICA do that? Sir, are you reading between the lines? Am I eligible to talk about it? This is the worst people can do. Many people start arguing and fighting with the faculties and they say that this is ICA doing this. Don't you know with your experience that faculties have no control over ICA? They're just here to explain the underlying law to you. People are reacting, they don't control the narrative. But who controls the narrative? Who makes sure that this message is given right when the CCM, or maybe most importantly, the chairman of that committee is there, which they want changes to come from. All right. So this is a skill that will decide careers. And I promise you again. Now, important parts. The power speaks softly. You cannot speak loudly, fight, argue, doing road rages and say you're powerful. Powerful people are not doing road rages. No powerful person. Even if you think some MP or MLA is fighting on the road, trust me, that person is not powerful. It shows that they are weak. Loudness is a proof of weakness. Loudness is the best proof of weakness, I should say, rather. Right? People with real power from 8 o'clock tonight or from 12 o'clock tonight, 500 rupees and 1000 rupees notes will no longer remain legal tender. Did they explain too much why? Did they talk a lot about what is going on, what's wrong? No. Just came in, took the decision, and then they went out. It was powerful. I'm not saying right or wrong. That is again, if you take my words at face value, that okay, you are trying to promote somebody. No, I'm just telling you that this is what happened at that time. This is how power speaks. Slowly, softly, and gets out of it. Right? They don't explain too much. If I have a disagreement, if you have a disagreement with somebody, don't argue loudly. Just register your protest, just register your disengagement, and go ahead with it. So recently, I was delivering a session, I was delivering a talk, and somebody started making loose comments about ICI, and which is my no-no limit. Like if somebody says anything wrong about ICI, I want to say something. But was it smart if I would have started shouting on him and started fighting on him? He, on the other hand, was shouting on me. But what is the most powerful thing to do? Let him speak, and in the end, just say, "Sir, I do not want to say a lot to you, but I register my disagreement and my I'm so sorry, I'm not able to get the right words, but in Hindi I said I would make sure my protest is recorded. I on record I say that I verbally protest this. What was on record? Was somebody recording minutes of that meeting? No, but you use the right word, softly say and get out of it. And the worst you can do is justify endlessly. Many people keep on justifying. So this is why I'm doing this. This is what we'll do. This is what we'll do. This is what we do. And this is what we do. That is why we are charging this much to you. No, if you're powerful, if you're doing the right thing, why to explain so much? Why to explain so much? When you are new as a CA, even if you want to charge 25,000 as a bill for something, you keep on explaining, sir, I'll do this, I'll do that, this, and you keep on speaking. When you're experienced, you just say, I'll charge 50, 20,000, and that's what I do. If somebody asks, you don't explain, that is rude. Somebody will ask you, you'll have to explain. No. Because I forgot to say it earlier, my throat is doing pretty unwell. So I have to take water breaks more often than I take in my sessions usually. In case my non-verbal communication was not registered. Well, if you explain too much, justify everything you're saying. Don't justify. You said something. If somebody doesn't say that you are wrong, actually justifying something more than you knowing that other person will not agree shows that you yourself are not confident. You build a narrative that this should not be taken seriously, because if you're justifying something again and again and again, that shows that you are yourself not confident about it. Forget about people other than you. It shows your lack of confidence on the subject, right? What kind of communication you have to do? Minimal. The word man of a few words. Always be the man of a few words. Doesn't mean that you become a speaker, get on stage and don't speak words. That's not how it's going to work. But whenever it's a one-to-one conversation, say a few words. Communication should be minimal. Whatever you say should be deliberate. That means sometimes you speak something and said, oh, what did I say? I should not have said it. No, everything a person with power says is deliberate. Every word spoken is actually calculated. Everything comes out of your mouth should be out of a calculation, should be out of a textbook. Nothing should come out of your mouth without a reason being there for it. And always speak precisely, right? And they will let the context do the talking. Because if they said that I believe this is not the right time for us to move forward with the solution that we decided last week, I would not go about what happened in the week because I hope the other person himself or herself has a little bit of idea or has the at least has the power or the the ability to know what I'm talking about, right? So controlling the agenda, the deliberate communication, make it precise. The context will speak for you, I promise it will. There will be context. There will be people who will understand things with context, and you will not have to explain a lot to them, or maybe sometimes you don't have to explain anything to them, and context does the talking. But when does this context get overrated? Even that is important. Many people think that I said something, I'll let the excuse me. My sincere apologies. It is coming and going because it's extremely cold here. Just a moment. All right. So, silence is not emptiness. Many people, many times when you're standing in a lift or you're in a train, metro, flight, many people try to cover up the silences. Many people try to make sure that they are covering up the silent windows. I remember one very beautiful moment from a very important sitcom. It was that somebody started talking, making a few jokes, and the waiter simply said that you don't have to cover the silences. It's okay. A little bit of silence is good, right? And today you not will. You have already heard that hear what is not said. See what is not written. Respond without exposing yourself. So this is important. If you are able to do this too, then with the help of these two, this will go automatically down. Right? Strength and aggression are two different things. Aggression, of course, being aggressive is good, but strength is displayed by not being aggressive. Being as calm as possible makes you look more strong than you want to look. Yeah, more strong than you want to look sometimes. All right. Okay, there's some very dangerous thing. Professionals say, but that's not what they said. Right? If you go about what they said, like what happens is two professionals are sitting, and many times one of them says, no, you don't do this. He might have said it, we'll do this, we'll do it this way. So what happened is someday a client called me up and referred me a client from the United States of America, of course, the first big client which we were offered from overseas. And my client ended up saying that they have asked that you do not have a special domain registered in your name, you have just got a Gmail account. My response could have been buying a domain and suddenly registering and I'm saying sharing them a new email ID with the domain registered. On the contrary, what I ended up doing was not registering a new domain, but writing a message down that I'm sorry, making a website has not been a very important part of what we've been doing so far. And I believe that even in case of the business that we'll do with you, we will not need a specific website for it. Whatever you need, a profile or a dossier that you need about my firm, whatever you read on the web pages, I'll share it to you personally. And we try to tailor our services for every client. We do only we do only specific clients. We don't do mass services. So I believe website is one thing which we do not find necessary for ourselves. Now, many of my juniors or my partners felt that it is not needed. I said that's not what they're saying. They just want to ask you, are you confident enough that if we just push you a little, will you be pushed back or you'll take a stand on this? That's what I felt. And that's not what they said. True. But that's what I said. That yes, I do not have a website, but this is the reason for it. I will not go out and just start, domain shopping just because some one person said that they don't have a domain in their name. It's fine for me. Fine by me should be fine by you. Why? When the stakes are very high, no, people rarely say what they mean. Whenever it is important, it's sad thing that people don't say what they mean when it actually when the stakes are the highest. Yeah. Imagine in real life when the stakes are really high, and of course, people are being told today. Mental health is being talked about directly today. Children are being made aware about the sexual health very, very rigorously today. But remember that even kids were expected to read between the lines a few years ago about very important things like good touch, bad touch. We expected children to learn it without saying it, and children expected their parents to understand it. When today you hear children complaining about what happened with them and they couldn't tell their parents, because I think the children were also expecting to read for everybody to read between the lines. Actually, the problem is when the stakes are high, no, a conversation can go south suddenly. So it is rather because if me being a very senior professional, I try to explain another senior professional, maybe more or less senior than me. I give them word to word verbatims. It turns into micromanagement, and nobody likes being micromanaged after the stakes are high. So they actually use the constructive meaning. And even when we read the law, which is the core of our job, which is the basis of whatever we do, law and standards, there are two doctrines we use. The doctrine of literal meaning, very common. The doctrine of constructive meaning, what it wants to say. So even law which has to take stands in the court is written in constructive meaning. How do we think that subjectivity will not come into behavior? It will whenever the stakes will be high. Because on higher stakes, the ego gets involved. So I should not have to say it. It should be there. Whenever you hire a new driver, do you ask him to open the door for you? Or you expect it should already know that? And how do people tell drivers that they were not there on the door opening? Is it? They're already on their seat. Good, good, good. They are trying to say, no, you had to open for me first and then take your seat. You seem too tired today, right? No, 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 please take care of yourself. They're actually telling you something else. People when say, oh, you guys are too busy these days, no? Very nice, very nice. No, they're just trying to say, you need to attend to me when I ask you to, because that is how our relationship has been designed. How I want our relationship to be. This is what they're saying. No, I'm not saying start agreeing with this, but at least respond in the tone. Know what they're asking you, right? The power dynamics, high stakes, the power dynamics are unequal. When somebody is at a higher authority, they don't talk directly to the person with the lower authority. Lower authority does not directly say something to the higher. So maybe your employee has been trying to tell you in different ways, sir, school fees is really high. Sir, there's a lot to do. Sir, my wife is asking so much. Sir, recently got married. How expensive is being married? They're just asking that it is being really difficult for them to manage their house. And sometimes they say, oh, my friend now, sir, he too is working in a big company, sir. He's getting this much. He also works like me. They're just trying to silently tell you without hurting your ego or without exposing themselves to being said no, they're asking you to increase their salaries. Do it if you want to retain them. I'm not saying you have to retain them. Just be ready that they're about to leave. Hire their replacement otherwise. I said, I'm not asking you to do what I want you to do. I'm trying to tell you, don't be surprised. I'm just trying to save you from the shock. Rest, of course, earlier you realize, earlier you take action, or better you have and better reality happens. Whenever there is accountability, if I am accountable for something, people will seldom tell me the exact, because they want me they also want to test me, they also want to test my ability, they're paid for it, so they don't want to handhold and hold my finger and throw me on the other side. They want me to work for it, right? Right. Now many of you would want to know that, sir, you've told so much that this is how people happen, this is how people talk, but how do we know? How do we know what is right and what is wrong? Sir, I've made it oblivious, right? Made it oblivious? No problem. I'll clear it out, sir. I'll clear it out. I've already from the morning I've been trying to do. Normally you take sessions, you take it, like they take the problem, solve it, and then they say, see how my solutions work. Today I've taken your session in a way that I've told you the solution earlier, and then we have started talking about the problem. Why? Because it is important. It is an important solution that you are about to learn today. Right? Right? So what am I talking about? Where is the meaning, sir? The meaning is hiding. Everybody has a meaning, but where is the meaning? Let's find meaning. If there's a delay in communication, if somebody is not replying to you very often, if somebody is not giving you the due attention, that means they're hiding the meaning, that they do not consider it important, or they want to get out of this engagement. And no problem. If somebody wants to get out of the engagement, fair enough. Fine by me. Fine by me. But other things are more risky, sir. Other things are more risky. Sometimes it is half response. So they'll not respond properly to you. So they'll not properly say anything until, even if you prompt them that you should properly, that you don't understand what they are saying, they'll give you half responses or half-hearted responses. Yeah, let's see how it happens, sir. I don't know. Maybe, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Sir, half responses again. Delay, we know what it does. Half responses again have a very catastrophic effect. Half responses, sometimes they want you to focus too much on a certain point, so they give you the half. But the second half, they want you to construct yourself. If you don't, then they understand that you're not competent or not understanding enough. Suddenly, if somebody starts being polite with you, a person who has been rude with you for so long, who is a very strict person, if he or she starts getting polite with you, I am telling you something is wrong. I will start smelling funny business. The moment somebody starts being polite with me, who has always been rude with everybody or with me as well in past, I start feeling uneasy. I start feeling surprised. I'll tell you, one of the stakes were high. So very recently, again, doing a client, we had the discussion with him, and this is very important. All right, this is very important. And why? We need to understand half responses. Like what they were doing is, I used to ask them, so whenever you make your initial payment, whenever you make your initial payment, we'll start it. But what they said is, okay, anything you did about it, anything you did about it. I said, sir, anything you did about the payment? No, sir. I said, I didn't think about it. I did not think about it. Right? Just a moment, sir. Right? So, I'm really sorry. Some urgent calls and the messages. Some people just get a little crazy. Don't understand between the lines. right? So sudden politeness, and of course, if unnecessary somebody is being formal. I think these are things you've already understood in personal life. Your friends suddenly start calling you sir, they want to say something, or suddenly they start using text messages or emails when they were normally very comfortable with you talking, start explaining you too much. And if you're missing these cues, I promise you, you are missing the message. Today is not about speaking better. Today is not about conveying the message better, not about listening and decoding better. It's about how you see better, how you see and understand the world better, how your relations will develop because you did the right research. You did the right research. All right. Of course. How will you see better? What happens is, uh, we were not talking about fancy vocabulary. Neither we were talking about presentation tricks. Did we talk about fancy vocabulary, how you speak better, how you message better? No. Did we talk about the cliches of communications? No. We talked about perception. Or the better word we used today was narrative. So we are at the end of the session almost. And do you hear tension in the basic neutral sentences like in let's see? Maybe. Okay. Fine. Fine by me. Do you hear that there is tension in these sentences and people desperately want you to take a note that there is no tension, right? You realize that there is tension, and exactly, that is the tension, that is the ice people want you to break. People want you to break that ice. But if you're able to sense resistance before you are rejected, before the client rejects you, before an interviewer rejects you, I told you, with their tone, you'll realize how previous interviews have gone. And suddenly, the tone or the behavior or their non-verbal cues by the end will tell you. I'm not saying if they were happy to meet you. I told you, you have to analyze if they think, if their behavior shows that they have found something, if their behavior shows that, yeah, they're happy to meet me, but they look helpless. This means they like you, but they have met somebody already, right? You know that when silence is safe. I hope you know that sometimes being silent is good, but sometimes it's very dangerous. You have to say something. Some pauses can be misunderstood, right? Unsaid matters more than what is promised. Even if you promise something, but your behavior shows that you will do something in this way, people will quote you for something you've not said you will do, but they'll expect you to do naturally. One final thought. Every conversation will have two layers. There is two-layer conversation. One is the content and one is the intent. You learn a lot about content. Today, I hope I have been able to train you about intent. Most people sustain on level one. Smart people go to layer two and they win most of their arguments there. This is the where difference of the ordinary and extraordinary begins, and this is where the difference, it makes the difference, and the difference collaborates and gets it right. So that was it from me. I'm done for the day. Any questions you might have had, Anshumanji, I would request you can start putting up the questions the audience might have had from me. We've got like 5 minutes, we can, of course, discuss about the audience's question. Yeah.
Thank you, Nakulji, for a very insightful and a very enlightening session. And we all are now well equipped to understand what to read between the lines and what not to read between the lines. So, I have some questions which have been thrown from the audience, and I would like to put them forward to you. The first thing is you mentioned about doctors doing voluntary service for advertisement's sake. This should not be seen as a standard. Doctor profession is a noble profession and voluntary service is also noble. So
Absolutely.
these
Absolutely. I do not want people to quote me on one or two examples. It was to explain you that some things are done. I told you how to control the narrative. So this is an example this person has picked. And I'm glad sometimes webcasts are so helpful, because had it been a physical session, this session would have gone in a totally different direction, that we would have talked about the nobility, righteousness, or bad. Look, I'm telling you, I'm talking about narrative building. So I have to control the narrative. So it was not even the main. This example didn't came in the main session. It came that when I was trying to explain how narratives are built, what is the importance of narrative control. So doing social service, being voluntarily available for people, even when we want our practice to flourish, it has to look like a nobility. And yes, sir, I'm telling you, if you think it's just about nobility, just next time go there with an emergency and pretend that you don't have the money to pay for it. And just tell me if they just reduce even their profits. I'm saying costing they charge from you, they reduce their profit, and I'll agree that there's a lot of nobility. Sir, everybody has a professional, and this is the narrative building. This is what I'm trying to say. You have to control the narrative around you. And this is only possible if you pick up the cues which are not being said. How can you pick this up? So, so very simply, I'll tell you what happens. I'll not talk about doctors, I'll talk about me. So I definitely go for government on places and explain people about the grants. This is a free of cost service. We have camps, people come to us, ask us few many questions. But if somebody asks me to prepare for them, to account for them, to get their documents ready, will I do it for free? I am not being noble there, but I have to control the narrative. How? If I'm giving them my number is a different thing, but I should tell them that there will be an appointment if you need to take to come to me. So this is the narrative I'm trying to control. I can't say I'll charge you money because the government will sack me up because I cannot do promotion there. But even without promoting, I should silently message that you cannot call me and disturb me every second day. You have to come to me, you'll have to have a fee. There'll be a fees you have to pay. So I have to silently drive that message. That was the intent there. Yeah.
Correct, correct. Okay. Next question is, it would be helpful for real life examples and case studies to support your narrative.
Yeah, real life examples and case studies. I was talking about my sessions. I talked about my practical experiences. Even I talked about what happened today morning. I actually somehow before the session, I was talking to a CA for a DC matter. So I told them that how this narrative was controlled, that a CA went out of my office, and I have 5 employees who heard at the gate of my office that he asked me that if he's supposed to pay the retainer and also the consultation for today. So that is what happened today. So I'm not saying that this is not real life. This is as raw as it can get. You have to non-verbally tell them that my time is valuable. Although I wanted to control this narrative in a way that no, because he is a very old friend or maybe a senior I've worked for already. So for a few information exchange, I don't want to charge a fellow. But at least he wanted me to tell him that if I want to charge. So non-verbal messaging works in a different way. So there was real life. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next is, how it can improve the marketing within ICAI regulations.
Sir, we have a big session, a big total, what do we say? A certificate course on branding. Sir, branding course you must take, everybody, because we talk about ICAI's regulations, and new regulations are coming in the next month. And I'm telling you, marketing is a word we are using because we want you to feel that it is also marketing. But again, we have to take the full session on branding. Please don't try to think that there is a shortcut to anything. Branding way, we have to take 3 or 4 sessions, important, designed by a PSEC, and you'll understand not just a way around the ICAI regulation, but like we know thought leadership is good. I'm giving you an example in that session, what we do. Thought leadership, everybody knows, write posts on LinkedIn. But sir, every CA is writing posts on LinkedIn. How will my posts gain attraction? When I write in a certain tone, when I build the audience of that tone, what happens is people are writing about politics. They gain an audience of politics. 5,000 followers are there, political followers. Suddenly, I start writing about ESG. That will not give you the right direction. Maybe other method will take 5 years for you to have a 5,000 follower base, but that will have the right audience, right engagement, and the right business for you. And I'm telling this to you because something like this happened with me. So I posted something out of emotions, and suddenly I gained a lot of traction. But when I post about my professional things, I don't get that much of engagement that I get on political posts. But that is one thing which has gone wrong. So I know from my experience, this is real life case study. I myself have made that mistake. So I've gained followers with other content. I wanted to get them in a different way. But still, what you can do is Now stop posting about politics. Just post about formalities. You'll lose a few followers, but your follower list will be sanitized. That's all.
Correct. One last question, that how much a CA can market his skills through effective communication?
How much is a very difficult question, sir. Unfortunately, our business is more promoted through word of mouth, which is not in our control. And I am one person who says maybe 90% of our life is not in our control, only 10 is. But can we do anything about the 90%? No. I agree with everybody. 90% where we are born, who our father is, who our friends are, who gets the best CAs as his friends and supporters, who has the right guidance. Like I was very lucky, I was guided by good CAs everywhere. Some people say we didn't get guidance. So I agree. 90% is out of your control, but 10% is in your control. I'm not saying that how much CA can market with a communication, but what other channels does a CA have? So because you have this channel, so 100% of your effort have to be in this line. You can do marketing by writing articles. You can do it by speaking engagements, but do not outsource the job of speaking and writing neither to a human nor to artificial intelligence. I'll tell you why. Because there is a one more silent messaging which is going on. People read your posts, they talk to you, and in the first or second conversation, they feel that the mirage is broken. And after that, you can never rebuild this credibility. One person and everybody related to them, you've lost credibility forever. And this is the hardest thing to gain in profession. If you are using artificial intelligence to write your post, sir, people are writing posts, they're not reading themselves. So if somebody is quoting them, then also they're reading their own post. Oh, I wrote this. At least read what you're writing, and then you'll have queries, read about those queries. I'll tell you, this is a good way of using AI, but making AI write a post, posting it by copying and pasting or maybe typing, but not going behind the layers, it will be catastrophic, sir. You have to be very, very focused on the communication skills, as well as communications is very small part of your profession. The biggest part is your hard skills. So please have the hard skill. If you want to do GST, good. Income tax, great. But that should be something, mistake is not allowed, sir. You have to be expert on it. You cannot say that I know only 5 sections and I think I'm an expert. No. Whatever you say, trust, know the trust in and out. All law, society law, way law, everything. You cannot say I know Maharashtra, I don't know UP. You have to know it, sir. I don't say know it as an expert, but know everything about something. So not everything about everything, not something about everything. The best is knowing mostly about something, some whole topic, know about it. So if you ask me about ethics and I suddenly start saying I don't know what updates came before 2022, sir, I can't take that defense. No, I started working in ethics and disciplinary after 2022 when new guidelines were already in. But I cannot take a defense that if somebody says I have a case from 2001 and I say, no, no, I don't know the law before that. No, I have to read how this developed, how in 1950 this law started and how it came to where it is today. Yeah. So that's it, sir.
Thank you, Nakul Bhai. What I understand from your deliberation is that our hard skills are like our foundation of a building, and you can design the building in any manner whatsoever you want, but the foundation has to be very, very strong.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And please, one more thing, I cannot say this, emphasize enough on this. Many people are thinking that soft skills can replace hard skills. Sir, soft skills can just assist hard skills. Main quality, main CA will be known for their ability in their particular, whatever field they choose. I'm not saying you choose law, taxation, like I do assurance and ESG. No, don't do what we are doing. Do what you want to do, but be an expert at it. It is it is uncanny.
Correct. So thanks a lot once again, Nakul Bhai, for your very, very enriching deliberation. Further, before we end the session, I would like to present the vote of thanks. It has been such an honor to be a part of this wonderful webcast on reading between the lines, communication beyond what's said, organized by the Professional Skills Enrichment Committee ICI. On behalf of the Professional Skills Enrichment Committee ICI, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our speaker, CA Nakul Arora, for his enlightening session. A wide round of applause and thanks to the organizers, Professional Skills Enrichment Committee, our today's speaker, Sienna Kulurua, and other stakeholders who made the webcast a memorable one. Finally, we would like to thank all of you present here and helping us make this webcast a grand success. Thanks to one and all. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, sir.